Next up, the 2024 bond program, INS funds. Dr. Rapp.
All right. Well, while Randy's making his way to the microphone, one of the things we've said, and we'll continue to say, I know, is just thank you to our community, because we get to talk about the 2024 bond program tonight along with the 2023 bond program. So we're going to start out with just some construction-related items with 2024, and then we'll go from there to turn it over back to y'all in the 2023, and Brian will need to join up here as well.
And before Randy begins, we're just going to take a look at the a bond sale timeline that we discussed earlier tonight when John Martin was here. So the proposed timeline for starting construction for the different projects would range from 2025 to 2030, depending on the project. It's estimated that $82 million of the $101 million total will be for first-year projects that are scheduled to begin construction in 2025. Construction is scheduled to begin for most of the projects in the first 3 years. And so due to the majority of the funds being needed in the first initial years of the bond, it's recommended that the $101 million be sold in one sale, as we discussed earlier. Per the proposed schedule of events that was shared earlier this evening, the pricing of the bonds right now would occur on June 27th, but that could change depending on the market.
All right. Good evening, President Prosnick, Dr. Rapp, and the board. So to echo Dr. Rapp, we just want to thank the voters. Now it's time to go to work. Sorry to too fast. Okay, so it's time to go to work. We have our first set of projects that we would like to get rolling in 2025. That means construction beginning in 2025. So with that, design work needs to begin as soon as possible. Just a reminder, we have 4 architects that we work with in the district here. We did check with the architects that we have presented to y'all. They have all said that they can handle the workload, the additional workload. Huckabee was the only architect that said they really can't take any more at this time. Many of these selections were made by adding additional scope to a campus that the architect is already working on. I'll go into that a little bit more on the next slide. And then selections were also made utilizing factors like previous experience with the type of work or specific campus, those types of things. So the projects that we're looking at starting, we have the new high school football stadium lighting and football scoreboard replacements. We're proposing Glenn Partners to do both of those. We have the east side and west side aquatic centers. Those will be packaged kind of together because really, if you remember that proposition, those funds can only be spent between those two projects. So we are recommending VOK on VOK for that project. They have the relevant project experience with that, also team members that are very knowledgeable of both of these sites here. And then finally, Flower Mound High School Stadium, Hebron High School Stadium, and then the Hebron High School Fieldhouse and the Hebron High School Baseball Softball. Stantec is already doing the design for both of those 20 years, so it just makes sense for them to kind of roll that in, that design effort there. So taking a look at the total current and proposed design load. So this does not take into account any of the work that they designed that's underway now this summer. This is actual current design workload. You can see we're still trying to keep it balanced there. You can see the biggest slice there, Huckabee, is why they said they really can't take on any more work at this time. And then we also have some projects that we're hoping to get started next year as well that we really feel like a civil engineer would be the best option rather than using an architect or an engineer, or rather than using an architect, sorry. Those projects are like the tennis court resurfacing. We have the baseball, softball field lighting. We have all the turf projects at the baseball, softball fields, middle school game fields, and the practice fields at each high school. And then finally, the track replacements. And then to talk a little bit about construction staffing, we brought a staffing plan to the board for the 2023 bond. Really this time, a lot of these slides are very similar, so most of the information in this slide is what you saw last time. This really talks about how we have the ownership and control of the construction standards by doing it in-house. We can do it a lot cheaper in-house than outsourcing. And really, this time we're only seeking one additional construction manager for these types of projects. This construction manager is going to require experience relevant to these types of projects. So the outdoor grounds and athletics type facilities, the turfs, all these baseball, softball field items, that's really what we're looking for here that is different from the 2023 bond. Project management and general oversight will be handled by our existing staff that we already have, that we were able to hire, thank you board, with the 2023 bond. And then as usual, staff will be hired on an as needed according to workload basis. We really need this construction manager on as soon as possible to help us as we kick off these projects. And then the next slide is one that you've seen before. This was just history from the 2017 bond that shows that, folks do come on and they do come and go. There's an ebb and flow there, right? So as with all bond work and all bond staffing, it's kind of an attrition-related item there. So next steps, these are going to look very similar, but at the June consent items, you'll see the approval of the 2024 bond first sale projects and architect selections, and also the construction department staffing plan for the 2024 bond. And then potential August discussion items. I mentioned civil engineering. We're really trying to get that on the street quickly so that we can hopefully bring that to the August board so we can get a civil engineer on board, maybe more than one, we'll see. And then hopefully we can also get construction manager at risk selections for these 2024 bond projects. Several of those not only require a different type of civil engineering versus architecture, but several of those projects we really feel like would lend themselves to a different delivery method. So we'll be bringing that in August as well. And this is basically the same items that would come as potential consent items in August. And again, I say potential because it is quite an undertaking to get that RFQ done and all those interviews done before August, but we're going to try our best to get that done. So with that, I'll answer any questions on the 2024 bond.
Dr. Bonner.
Not a question as much as my appreciation for getting these projects rolling, right? So those three bonds passed generally 55-45. So, that's pretty close to equal. And so I'm just appreciative that the urgency is being shown to illustrate to the community that our advertisements were accurate, that these things were critically necessary for learning programs for kids. And if this bond had not passed, as evidenced by the immediacy of the money being spent, we would be looking at facilities shutting down. So I appreciate the commitment to getting that rolling quickly. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Dr. Barker. Oh, yes, very good. I do have one small question, which is there a cost savings in using a civil engineer as opposed to an architect?
Potentially, civil engineering is actually an additional ad service on most of our architecture contracts. So, you would be paying for only the civil engineering portion. So we can't really speak much about pricing until we actually get the RFQ done, and then Craig's team goes to work on the agreement. But yes.
I have complete confidence in Mr.
Right.
Martin.